Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukutali.
Good morning to you. This is Newsline Live. We're broadcasting from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And as ahead of a meeting supposedly this morning between the United National Party MPs and Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe and so on to sort out leadership issues, we've got here a rather vociferous and openly pro-leadership change at the UNP, and he's right here all the way from Weligama, and the chairman of the Weligama Council. He's right here with us, Rehan Joy Wickrema.
Good morning for us.
Good morning. Good morning. And so, yes, what's happening leadership-wise at the UNP?
That's a tough question. I think we're still having the issue that we had last time, and before the election, and the last time, and the last time,
yes,
and the last time before that,
yes,
and the last time before that.
Yeah.
So 25 years of last times.
Yeah.
So I think that issue is still prevalent. I think that there is a leadership, not a struggle, but I think there's a discussion today to be held between the leader and the deputy leader and all the other office bearers. But yeah, so we got to hope and pray, because last time I was on this show, it was 2 days later that the deputy leader got his candidateship. So
yeah,
I'm hoping that maybe we'll get our matters resolved today.
And is the deputy leader focused on pushing for this change?
Look, for us, yes, he did lose.
Yeah.
But we also have to understand, a lot of people say that he's upset about this whole thing. But we also have to understand the fact that the losing circumstance, or the ultimate circumstances which led to his defeat, were things beyond his control. For example, the party leadership. That's one thing that the reformists demanded before the election, which was not given to him. He was put in at the last minute, whereas the current president, started his race little over a year ago,
yeah,
and officially in August. So I think the circumstances which led to his defeat makes his defeat much harder for him to comprehend, because it's not as if he lost as the leader, because we couldn't even take our crowds into Sirikota to welcome him. There was an issue. Yeah, yes, there was an issue, and it had to be in Vauxhall Street. So all these things, I think, have affected him in a certain way, but I think he'll be up and running in no time. I think by tomorrow he should be starting his new political journey. That's what I heard. I heard that tomorrow is the day that he's going to start.
So all UNP membership will almost, bar about 4 or 5 people, will be looking forward to that.
Of course, and not just the UMP MPs or provincial council ministers or local government members. We also have a massive block vote which voted for the UMP. I think it was over 3 million this time. So that's over 3 million people who are finally going to be happy with the leader that they're going to have, because it's been a while. It's been 25 years. And I was on a TV show a few days ago, and I very specifically mentioned that this is nothing personal that I have against a leader, or anything personal that I have against that particular name, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. It's just that I think if we are to follow the Buddhist doctrine, and if he so rightly claims to be a Buddhist, I think one of the main factors in Buddhism is impermanence, or the art of letting go, or to realize that everything is just a state of mind, happiness, loss, sadness, anything of that nature. And the fact that that's a very easy doctrine to follow, and the fact that that's not been followed, casts serious doubts on whether those selected individuals actually practice Buddhism at all, because that's a core attribute in Buddhism, and the fact that it's not been followed, it's worrying.
Is that why you think that Mr. Premadasa wasn't able to get the additional 9%? Or
I mean, if you look at it subjectively, like I do, you would realize that it was on the day of postal voting, if I'm not mistaken, that the then Premier, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, issued a statement saying that he was still going to be Prime Minister. And that cast a serious doubt or a serious shadow, because as grassroots politicians, I know exactly what the people were talking about at that time.
What were they saying?
And the people kept on saying, what's the point in voting for Sajid if Ranil is going to be the PM? And they said that very clearly, and that casted a serious shadow of doubt over the voters. And also the fact that there have been many attempts before to change the leadership. And the fact that the leader clung on to it throughout all these years also cast a serious doubt. Now, I did not feel that way because I had absolute faith and confidence that our candidate was going to win. But then now I think that that this election or the way that the UMP geared this for us was not geared in a way that we could win. I mean, here you have the PM going on TV a few days after the defeat saying that, me and Sirikota are not going to take responsibility for this, that everything was done at Vauxhall Street. But little do they realize that, Vauxhall Street was also run as a UMP campaign office. And the only reason we ran from Vauxhall Street was because of the fact that there were underlying issues which prevented us from using the Sirikota office. So if anyone is saying that there was no issue, I mean, we need to do a fact check because there were issues.
Well, like what, Ran? What was on the ground situation?
The fact that, Sirikota was not formally offered to us even in writing.
Right.
Now, I can very confidently say that at no time had a letter been issued from Sirikota to our deputy leader asking him to take over Sirikota. And also the fact, one of the key issues in this whole issue, in this problem was that while the election was going on, we had very little time to open a campaign office. So how could we have opened a campaign office in Sirikota if my deputy leader was not the candidate until the 2nd of October or the 3rd of October? So if we moved into Sirikota on the 3rd of October officially, we would have had basically 6 days to prepare before the nominations, whereas Vauxhall Street was open 2 weeks before the nomination was announced, because we had to get going and we had to have a place. And if Sirikota wasn't giving it to us officially, or the UMP wasn't giving it to us officially, we had to make amends. And I think Vauxhall Street was one of those decisions that we had to make.
I see. And when you're talking about like this, you say Sirikota wasn't given to us. By the use of that sort of language, us. Was there a them and us?
Of course there were. I mean, I can tell you firsthand that in my electorate, which is Waligama, the organizer who was extremely close to the PM, the former PM, did not work, and that is something I openly criticized. And there were organizers like that around the country. I can maybe mention a few more names, but I won't do that. I only talk about the things that I know and that.
Don't get into too much trouble. You're already in trouble. The fact that you're here. And on Newsline Live, we encourage you to send us your questions. The principal question today is the UMP leadership crisis. And you can do that by sending your questions by SMS 0772 300 305. 0772 300 305. Card coming up on your screen shortly. And of course, we are in conversation with the young man from Weligama, Rehan Jayavikrama. Now then, so there was this them and us scenario. So what about the money then? These blessed things need paying.
Yes, and I think that during a presidential election there's an inflow of funds that come into candidates, especially if they are from the UMP or the SLFP or, in that matter, the Pohot tour. There was a lot of money coming in. It was spent, I would say, predominantly it was spent wisely.
Where did this money come to? Sirikota or Vauxhall Street?
It didn't come to Sirikota from what I am aware of. I don't think that the UMP was that bothered in funds, because they thought that's what I'm saying for us, this them and us thing, it was predominant. But the fact is that during that time, there were more us than them. We had a bigger support from within the party. But the fact is that when you get certain organizers in very vital electorates, like
Yeah.
for example Waligama, which is a southern stronghold of the Rajapakshas.
Yeah.
The fact that the organization was very weak there
Yeah.
made me actually question whether this was like this all over the place. And then I started doing a little bit of research, and I found out that this was not the only person, that there were many other organizers who were just not working. To be very honest, I think they did get 1.5 million or 1 million each from Sirikota. I think they were called as organizers and they were given that money. And I can tell you that in certain instances that money was not utilized at all.
Did your area get 1 million rupees as well?
Yes, we
Who did that go to? You or?
No, so it didn't come to me because I'm not the organizer. It went to the organizer.
Right.
And I can honestly tell you, I spoke to him just after the election.
Yeah.
And when he told me, what are we going to do now? I said, you know exactly what we're going to do. You are doing nothing. So what do you expect to hear from me? And he said, oh no, you know, and so that was the kind of vibe that we were getting from.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to take one of these questions because I think it's amazing. Sorry, I'm reading it as per, okay?
That's all right.
This boy comes from a distinguished family and he has all the potential to enter the next parliament. Ask him if he is ready. Are you?
I told you that on the last time of the show, Faraz, when we were there, we got a very similar question.
Yeah.
And I told you that my views politically, I have a very subjective way of thinking when it comes to politics.
Yeah.
And I feel that if this leadership crisis is not solved,
Yeah.
that there is no way that I will put myself forward for the next election. That won't happen, purely because of the fact that I don't want to lose. And
We play to win.
yeah, we play to win, we play hard, but I don't want to lose, and I don't want to lose with the same leader that this party has been losing for years. And for us, you could just give me a minute. The last time I was on your show, I couldn't really tell you because I was also very annoyed at the leadership back then. You know, PM Vikram Singh the former PM has been a cabinet minister from 1977 or 79.
Yeah.
He was one of the most efficient cabinet ministers. He has done a lot for the party. No one is disputing that. No one is disputing that he has not done a lot for the party. He has. And for that we are very appreciative. But you got to know when to go. You got to know that when you lose 25 plus elections, when you know that you have lost 2 presidential elections yourself, when you know that the incapability of winning has given you the option of placing common candidates and making them lose, you have to understand that this is now your time. And he has to understand that he always, I mean, one thing that he so rightly speaks about is second tier, third tier leaderships. But what I'm saying is, for example, what is the point of developing these leaders when they're in their 50s? For example, Navin Dissanayake, who is a national organizer, he's been around politics since 1994 or 2000, I think. He's been a member of parliament for years. But it was only very recently that he was given the post of national organizer, where it should have been given to him years ago. Or people like Harin Fernando from Badulla, who have also won a number of elections. They were also given responsibilities very recently. But then if you look at the inner clique that has been working with the leader, they have all been getting groomed to become leaders. From the general secretary to the other people that he has around him have been groomed. But what about the ones that should be groomed? What about the Disanayakas? What about the Harin Fernandos? You know, what about us in our own level of politics? Why aren't we given?
Have you ever had a conversation with some committee, or at least if not with the leader himself, about you? Have they sort of said to you, listen, Ryan, you know, have you thought about coming to Parliament? Shall we plan this progressive path for you?
That's a very, very interesting question, because the first time that I wanted to contest was in 2016. And I still remember I went to the opposition leader's office and I met him in person. He had another minister with him, someone who I don't really get along with, but I won't mention his name. And he immediately asked me what election I want to contest. Or what am I, he basically asked me what am I doing there, and I said, sir, I am 28 years old. I would like to contest a parliamentary election because there's a huge vacuum in Waligama. Then I also mentioned my granduncle's names. And then he said, okay, let me think about it. And the very next day I received a call saying that I should maybe rethink of contesting the parliamentary election and go into a lower level of election. So that's when I spoke to the speaker, who was not the speaker at the time, who I consider to be a very important political mentor of mine. And he mentioned to me that, why don't you, if they're all fussing, why don't you run from a place where no one can fuss, the urban council? So I was very taken back by that, because at that time I thought that this was actually, I was under the impression that this was not a place that but I was wrong in thinking that way. And I immediately contested the election and I won. And that is the platform which has given me the opportunity to come in front of distinguished personalities like you and open my mind and speak. But I think that my output could be much more, or my input could be more in a parliamentary level. But then again, how can I contest if my values and my ideals are that I have, I mean, if I have to sacrifice my values and ideals for the sake of politics, just to be a slave to politics, why should I do that?
Winston Churchill, never ever give up. That's the answer to that.
Thank you.
Don't give up.
Thank you.
Is there absolutely no mechanism to offload unwanted and sadly dysfunctional baggage like RW? Anything to equal impeachment within the party?
No. There's actually no mechanism within the UMP to get rid of a leader. There used to be, but they passed certain resolutions during certain times, which makes it impossible. So the main contention for that is the working committee. The fact that the working committee could be dissolved even hours prior to it convening, the fact that the members of the working committee are predominantly the picks of the leader. So what do we do then? If it's not going, for it to go to the parliamentary group, it first has to go to the working committee.
Why is it, you know, the media, the media, has been saying exactly more or less what you've been saying. And we were criticized, Newsfirst has been criticized, Maharaj has been criticized by some members of the UMP who looked upon us rather suspiciously. And of course, we at Newsfirst, within our group, the Maharaj group's media asset, we have always been positive in our outlook.
Yes.
Fitch ratings don't come anywhere close to us. Okay? You know, we are committed to this thing. So, you know, we, in a way, back people such as you, talent such as you. And I don't know why, so I'll ask you, do you know why we become the subject of criticism because of our stand on promoting the youth? And
very simple, because you speak the truth, and I think the truth is hard to take, the truth is hard to bear sometimes, but yeah, it's because I believe that you all speak the truth at most times, and you all speak against injustice. And if I'm correct, the bond scam was first brought to this country by
well, it was highlighted by
on your show, if I'm not mistaken,
by Newsfirst, and we started the bond was issued on the 27th of February, and the following weekend, which is I think the 1st of March, was when our news carried the story. And in that same week, we pointed out the conflict of interest, and in spite of a lack of whistleblowers at the time, we were able to ask then Governor Mahendran to step aside.
Yeah.
And Mr. Wickramasinghe maintained, and I think he probably still maintains, that there was no evidence of wrongdoing. And and yet he admits at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry that he did have a conversation with Arjuna Mahendran and had asked him to ensure that his son-in-law, Arjun Aloysius, would step off and have nothing to do with that primary dealership. He didn't follow up. He didn't ask somebody else to follow up. And he permitted this sad state to carry on until Bond 2. And no, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, there has never been a proper investigation of Bond 2. We have had a forensic audit according to what the governor says, but we have had no investigation. And so, if that's what I asked you this question about leadership and whether they've approached you, because let's take our group. We have right from the top, our chairman will look at talent, and you may now see, you're here today, it's not the same producer that was here the last time we were here.
Yes.
That's because the young man has been given an opportunity elsewhere within the group. He was asked if he wanted to do it, because it's called spotting the talent and paving the way for progressiveness.
Yes, you're correct. Yeah.
Progressiveness. So I'm rather shocked that you don't have this at the United National Party.
I mean, maybe it exists to a select few people, but I was speaking on behalf of myself for us, and it didn't actually happen that way with me. But I hope and pray that now the youth of this country is changing. The youth of this country are smarter. The youth of this country are now thinking on their feet. And I honestly feel that with the influence that we have right now with the youth, that the parties have to start listening to us. And if you look at how vocal the youth are now, they are not the same youth that used to exist in your generation or during
that's right.
They're very vocal about things, and they don't care about being chucked to the CID or going to court or any of these things.
I'm not that ancient, but so I wouldn't say the wireless, but we had the radio.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the wireless, but we had the radio. We had no television, and we had a lot of stuff like books to read. But today, your generation, you've got things like WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, the whole blessed thing. You can even read War and Peace on your phone.
On your phone, yeah.
So yes, it's gone that way. Does Mr. Bikram Singh have a smartphone?
I believe he should be having one.
Right.
I think
it's just that if he had, he'd be able to judge the level of unpopularity.
But then saying that for us, I posed a very interesting question to a friend of his, someone who claims to be his friend, a few weeks ago. And I said, does the leader not feel that he needs to go?
Yeah.
I mean, what is the rationale behind his thinking?
Is it that he is discussing with his friend an office for past prime ministers to operate from comfortably?
I heard that that's in the books, and if that's the case, I am deeply worried that this is the country that we live in, and this is the type of political games that have been playing on both sides. And it's worrying, and I hope that doesn't happen. I believe that politics, just like any other profession, my simple question is this: why does a mercantile professional who has been working for years, for example, in the mercantile trade, have to retire at 60, and a politician can go on till 80? Why can they not set a retirement age? Because politics, just like any other profession, is a job, and in my terms, what I call it, it's a social service. We get paid very little, but still we work hard. We work hard for recognition and to get loved by the people that we work for. But then shouldn't there be a retirement age for us? I mean, why should they be allowed to run? Now, there's a reason why retirement ages are set at 60, because they say that the human brain may start weakening after the age of 60, or people will not have the retention capabilities that they had when they were in their 40s. So how can that not apply to running a state? Because running a state is about 1,000,000 times more important than running a company, because you're talking about the lives of millions of people who are going to the voting station to vote for you.
3,742 people employed directly by our group will be appreciative of the leadership qualities exhibited by our principal shareholder. Some time ago there was a program, not on television, but it was televised. It was called the 6 Daring Entrepreneurs in the Country. I'm sorry, but they were all wonderful entrepreneurs, but the use of the word daring was a bit of journalistic flourish on the part of my friend, Mr. Qasim from the FT.
Right.
But because the daring one wasn't there, none of them had to rebuild a business twice over.
Yeah.
But that's leadership. And over here, I'm back to this whole thing. On this program, we've had several producers. That's because they go on.
And they're promoted.
They're promoted.
Yeah.
There are other opportunities. There are plenty of opportunities. Dreams become realities. And the path is open to anyone. And so it is absolutely shocking that a political party that aspires to govern now nearly 22 million people don't have this mechanism in place.
And it's been 2 weeks since the end of the presidential election. We still haven't appointed opposition leader. We still haven't convened our working committee. But we keep on saying, yes, we are discussing the best ways. There is only one way. The only way that we have as a party to prosper is for the leadership to change. And I kindly request my leader, or Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, I'm saying, sir, yes, you've done well for the country. Yes, we admire you very much. Yes, you have sacrificed a lot for this party. But please hand over the leadership to a young gun and let us build up this party. You can maybe take up any role that you desire, a senior leader like Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore, or whatever you want to do. But please note that we are not being critical of you, but now the time's come, and I hope you make a wise choice, and I hope you make a wise decision, and I hope you go the right way about it, and I wish you all the best.
I'd love you to say those wonderful words of encouragement and inspiration. Could you say that all in Sinhalese, please?
Garu නායකතුමනි, අපි ඔබට ද්‍රෝහි වන්නේ නැත. අපිට ඔබත් එක්ක කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැත. ඔබතුමා මේ රට වෙනුවෙන් කරපු සේවයට අනේක වාරයක් ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙන්න කැමතියි. 1970 ගණන් ඉඳන් කැබිනට් ඇමති කෙනෙක් වෙලා මේ පක්ෂය ආරක්ෂා කරපු ඒවා ගැනට ඒ ආරක්ෂා කරපු ක්‍රමය ගැන කෘතඥතාවය පළ කරනවා. හැබැයි ගරු නායකතුමනි, දැන් ඔබගේ කාලය එළඹී ඇත. ඉතින් දැන් නායකත්වය තරුණයෙක්ට දීලා අපිට මේ පක්ෂය ගොඩ ගන්න ඔබතුමාගේ සහාය අවශ්‍යයි. ඒකට ඔබතුමාට මං හිතන්නේ සිංගප්පූරුවේ තියෙනවා වගේ ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ නායක තනතුරක් ඔබතුමාට ගන්නත් පුළුවන්.